I'm not going to lie. When you said baked, I thought you were about to talk about pies. I don't know why, but I was literally waiting for you to be like, are we talking about
Grandma's homemade
warm,
apple pie?
yummy something? Welcome to the Far More Podcast. Hey, Liz.
Hey, Jason.
Oof.
Oof?
Oof.
Oh, are you okay, girl?
You know, I mean, November's here.
It is.
Like-
Snowvember?
No,
Oh,
no, I said
Snowvember would be kinda nice.
No, I said November.
November
but it's
is
here.
here.
Remember we were talking about, hey, fall temperatures. Well, they fell a little bit and then they went back up. But like holiday season's here, and I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Oh, yes, you are, because
I mean-
what is your favorite holiday of the year?
I mean, Thanksgiving is hands down my favorite holiday.
And it's mine as well.
You know why it's my favorite though?
Is it not the food
Well, yeah,
and
food's
the
fantastic.
and the family?
But you usually have good food and good family at most holidays.
Yeah.
Right? To me, it's the ease of Thanksgiving. I actually feel like I can take a deep breath on Thanksgiving.
The simplicity?
Yes.
Is that kind of it?
There's football and there's food and there's not all this other like pressure. Like Christmas has such pressure around it.
Oh gosh, does it ever?
Right?
Especially once you have children.
Yes.
Oh,
but I feel like, you know
it's
what?
rough.
I walked into Starbucks yesterday and they playing Christmas music.
Oh,
Right?
It's a little early
And they got
for
the
that.
Christmas blend. And it's like everybody goes, Halloween, Christmas. I'm like, no, don't sleep on Thanksgiving,
No,
please.
it's the best.
It's the best.
It's the best ever. I love it. Well, I love it for all the reasons that I think most people would. The family, the gathering, the food, obviously. I like, even though it is simple, I do sort of like the hustle and bustle of the house. Like it's lively.
Like 10 conversations going on.
10 conversations going on at the same time, tons of things going on in the kitchen. Who needs help? What do you need me to do? This. Like, I kind of love that too. But one of the other things that I love about Thanksgiving is baked, no pun intended, right into the word. Thanks. And give. Actually, it's two. Thanks and giving.
I'm not going to lie. When you said baked, I thought you were about to talk about pies. I don't know why, but I was literally waiting for you to be like, are we talking about
Grandma's homemade
warm,
apple pie.
yummy something? When you said it's baked, and I'm like, what?
No.
Apple pie?
No.
Pumpkin pie? Pecan pie? Chocolate pie? Like, that's where my head was. So that...
He does not discriminate. Any kind of pie. He is here for it.
So you're over here thinking gratitude, and I'm thinking pie.
Yes.
Ooh.
I'm thinking, well, not only am
That
I
sounds
thinking gratitude and giving thanks, but I also love giving as well. Donating of your time, of your resources. Serving, yes. And I know that there are a lot of places out there where families do go over the holidays to serve and to give to others. But I just wanted us, you and I, as well as our listeners, because I think we have more than one now. Go us, high five.
High five.
I want us to maybe try to cultivate a heart, a sense, a whatever you want to call it, of gratitude, since we are going into the Thanksgiving season. And hopefully, maybe, and this is something I need to work on as well, that we can realize that it doesn't need to just be one day a year, that giving thanks and being grateful and showing gratitude really kind of needs to be a year-round practice. Like, what do you think about that? Do you agree?
Well, yes, but I love that you use the word cultivate, especially for somebody like me, where just honestly, gratitude doesn't naturally come. I have to be intentional with it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that's the case for a lot of people. It doesn't just come naturally to me. Now, it probably does come a little bit more naturally for me than it does for you. And I don't know exactly why, but maybe it's because I have more time to sort of sit in my thoughts. Whereas, you have work that you're thinking about and how to make that better. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's a couple things. I think a lot of times I'm just dealing with a lot of hard things and situations. And so it's difficult to be in that headspace of gratitude when you deal with a lot of just hard things all the time and a lot of pressure all the time. on one side. And then I think it goes back to what we've been talking about a lot, is just my independent nature, or my sense of control or drive. It's hard to have a spirit of gratitude when you're expecting like outcomes, right? Means like I'm driving towards this. Of course this should happen. And so I think that's hard for me too, because I'm so goal oriented, right? And so when I'm like driving towards a thing and the thing happens, it's not like, oh, I'm grateful the thing happened. I'm like, well, I did all the plans and steps that it should have happened.
So of course it would happen.
So of course it would happen. And so I think, on the everyday things, that's why I have to be very intentional of the small and the large.
It takes work.
It takes work.
It's not just, oh, there's Liz.
I'm
so grateful for her. If y'all could see his face.
I am grateful for you. I am incredibly grateful for
me,
you, our family, what God's done in my life, like so many things. But they're all at the macro level, right? Usually when we're talking about missed expectations or something, or moments of gratitude,
it's little.
It's all in the day-to-day stuff. And that's just like, it compounds. And so how do you not let the compounding day-to-day stuff overshadow the big gratitude? It's finding the gratitude in the small that's hard for me. Finding gratitude in the big things, that's easy. It's finding gratitude in the mundane.
Every single day.
In the mundane things. That's where it's really, really hard for me.
So if you have trouble finding gratitude, surely there's something every single day.
Maybe there's trouble, or I don't think about it. I don't know which one it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet it's the latter, because if you look around, I mean, that's really all you have to do is look around, or even look inside, because there are so many things, I think, about ourselves that God has gifted us with that we can be grateful for. And so I think you just touched on something that is a really good point. It takes intentionality. Even for those who already seem to naturally have a heart of gratitude, I think it probably is easy to get caught up in the day-to-day activities, the doing this, the doing that, the going there, the going here, where we forget to look up and just be thankful, because God does tell us in his word to give thanks always. And I don't know about you, growing up in church, I was taught that before you bring God anything else, like, my needs, my wants, my hurts, you always thank him for who he is. And you thank him for what he has done, and you show gratitude because he's so good to us. And so I think that it is important that, I mean, gosh, before we even start our day, to just pause, because as soon as you start your day, it's off into the races, right? And so I think before we even start our day, we stop, we pause. And before we bring anything else to God, maybe think of just, I was going to say 5 things, but that might be a lot. 2, 3 a day. Like, would that be doable for you if I said, hey, how about from today until Thanksgiving Day, every morning before we get up and we go, think about 2 to 3 things that you're grateful for, and then tell God, thank you. Thank you for these 2 to 3 things. What do you think about that?
I understand the assignment.
Oh, we got real serious.
Well, yeah, because I've tried to do these moments of gratitude before.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't work well for me, or it hasn't historically.
Okay.
Because I wind up like writing in a journal things I know I should be grateful for versus things I'm actually grateful for.
Okay.
And that's right.
Okay.
I think this is where this topic is.
It's hard for you?
It's hard for me because I wind up going, here are the things I should be grateful for versus coming from a place of I feel grateful for them. It's like intellectually I'm grateful, but I don't have a feeling of gratitude. And I think that's where someone like me that's so analytical, trying to understand the difference between what I know I should be saying in this moment versus what I'm actually feeling in this moment. That's where you see me
Wrestle.
you see me bristle on a conversation about gratitude. And you're like, why are you even bristling on a conversation? Because it's hard for me to separate the intellectual, what I know I should be saying in this moment, and the things I should be saying, oh yeah, of course, grateful for this, which they're true, but having a feeling of gratitude about them may not be true. And so I always try to process, if I don't feel grateful, am I grateful? Like, it's the whole intellectual versus heart thing that's just, I see your eyes. Like, you're such an emotional, starts from the heart person. I'm such an analytical, starts from the head person. And I think that's for me when I'm like, even in this conversation, I'm like, as I'm self-editing and reflecting in this conversation, I'm like, is this true? Or is it, I know I should be saying this, but I don't feel that way. I just don't have a natural sense of gratitude.
Okay.
And I don't have a good answer on why.
Okay.
But I think most of it is because I'm so analytical. I'm cause and effect.
Have you tried to unpack it in your mind? Because you are, again, a very you're a very introspective person. And so because you did say that you have tried to do this thing before.
Yeah.
Where you sit, you journal, and you're like, is this even true? Or am I just writing down, like, have you tried to unpack?
I just quit because it becomes an academic just checklist thing that I'm doing because I know I should do it and I should have 5 things and it should be easy to say 5 things and I can write down 5 things. Yeah. I don't think I actually, for someone like me, I have to create so much open space to sit and be calm and listen and really pray through it. And I think that's what I don't do enough. I've been studying so much of how Jesus, when he just goes off alone to spend time with God, goes off alone. And I realized
he has to.
We all have to. And I realize as a man, we don't do that well enough in terms of intentionality. We're always filling our schedules. We have a sense of obligation of doing this thing or that thing. And it's almost like, okay, how do I make sure I'm getting more and more intentional of going away, being alone with God to be able to really experience those moments of gratitude?
Do you think that not just because there's this sense of obligation that maybe men, we're speaking generally here, right? That men don't do that because that sounds wildly uncomfortable.
Oh, of course it's wildly uncomfortable.
Being alone, in your own thoughts, left to your own whatever, like...
Yeah.
Because I have encouraged you, go have some time.
That's right.
For yourself. And you're like, it sounds great, but I don't know. And it just dawned on me because I thought maybe it was because you did have this sense of obligation. Well, I don't want you to be, burdened with all this stuff for that many days in a row. Yeah. But I think a little light bulb went off in my head and I'm like, that's not really the reason, is it? Is it more because men in general don't like being alone and left to their own thoughts?
I think...
Is that true?
When I was doing a lot of trail racing a couple of years ago, and I would wind up going on these runs that were hours long. You're in the woods hours by yourself.
Sounds miserable.
Like, you can't quote run from God in those moments. So some of my best prayers, thoughts, time with God was in the middle of the woods on a trail run, and I'm like in hour 5 when I'm half dehydrated and delirious. So every tree looks like a person kind of scenario.
That sounds fun.
It happens.
Sign up for your next one.
But you wind up getting into these deep moments with God, and sometimes those are good, but sometimes those are really scary because if you're someone like me, it's then you got to do something about it. I think it's you spend those moments with God and you're like, oh, okay, I got to do something about this now.
Because God has revealed something to you?
Right.
Okay.
Usually. And so
Okay.
there's a little bit of fear in that too. It's these moments that you have to be intentional in your life to cultivate a thing that doesn't come natural for you. Gratitude doesn't come natural for me in the way of how I think it should. Right. Again, in the day-to-day
So you
set, in
also
the way I
have
think
like,
it
you
should.
have this preconceived notion of what gratitude is supposed to look like. Sort of.
I do. And I think...
And if that doesn't meet your expectation...
No, I guess I'm naturally a more cynical or pessimistic person. Like, I am wired to find the problems. I'm not wired to see the good in things first. I'm wired to see the other side first. And I think that's why it hurts me on trying to understand and unpack gratitude. Because I literally just, how my brain works and professionally how I am, I'm like, look at the problems first so you can fix them. Right? And so when it's instead of no, look at the good things first and be grateful for those. That's a 180 for me.
Yeah.
Just in terms of my natural disposition.
Well, and that's hard. I know.
Yeah, it's hard. So I think that's why you're like, hey, let's talk about gratitude. I'm like, well, okay, you go, girl. I'm here to cheer you on.
But you've been doing great.
I got to figure out what that journey looks like because why? Because it's completely not how I start. And I have to literally go run in the woods for 8 hours to figure out gratitude.
You know, you've mentioned the fact that I brought up the word cultivate because when I think of cultivation, I think of a garden. And what a garden is not something that you just snap your fingers and you've got beautiful flowers and vegetation. It's first you have to get the soil ready, then you have to plant the seed, then you have to water it and nurture it, and it has to be in the right season. And it can take months for it to spring forth life.
All right, stop there.
Okay.
Right. So if I'm the farmer, right?
You wish. I know.
I wish I was a farmer.
You straw hat and everything.
I actually just want to ride around in a tractor and let somebody else do the hard work.
Okay.
But went through the process, right? Of all the planting, of all the watering.
Yeah.
Right?
All the sowing.
And plants come out of the ground.
Yeah.
My instinct is, well, I expect them to.
Oh, Lord, help
right?
me.
And I think that's the challenge. It's like, well, we did all the things. Like, if they didn't come out of the ground, I would be like, why didn't they come out of the ground? We did the things that were supposed to happen. You're saying they come out of the ground, be grateful they came out of the ground. And my brain, my process analytical brain goes, well, of course they came out of the ground. We followed the steps.
We are so different.
Because if they didn't come out of the ground, my brain would melt and be like, what happened?
Okay.
Right?
I need
that's a good
somebody
analogy.
to comment.
Hang on.
To be like, oh,
Listen,
there's more. But wait, okay.
We're not saying I'm right. I'm just saying it's how I'm wired.
No, I understand.
I am clearly broken. Like, we
We
get that.
all are. Hello.
Right? But in this area here, like, because I'm like, cause and effect. Yeah, well, we did the causes. So the effect should come.
Yeah, it's so funny that I thought using the gardening analogy was going to be like a light bulb moment for you. And we're going to be like, oh, yeah. But instead,
I thought it was going to be a light bulb moment for you. Be like, well, of course the thing came out the ground because you did all the water. You were talking about all the steps.
no light bulbs went off for either one of us. Except for the one that says and reminds us on the daily that we are not alike. We do not see things the same.
You know why I struggle with gratitude? I think what you're helping me understand here is because we have so much stuff. We're drowning in blessings that we don't even understand how to be grateful. Especially here in America.
Because all this stuff is expected.
We're drowning in blessings and everything's the American dream that we've lost a sense of gratitude because we've just been covered in all this stuff.
Do you know what you just made me think of?
What's that?
Operation Christmas Child. Remember at the beginning of this podcast when we were talking about we both love Thanksgiving because it's a no pressure situation. Then you jump to Christmas and because of, what unfortunately Christmas has become is this expectation from children to their parents to lavish, right? That they're going to get all the things. And what happens when they open the box that doesn't have the thing that they expected? What happens?
Well, if they give me a look, we have a problem. We got words.
But what happens? It's a meltdown typically, right?
That's right.
So I immediately, just when you said that, I thought of the kids in insert area. I think last year, our kids, the Operation Christmas Child shoe boxes that we sent went to Uganda, and they showed a video. Those kids, like, there are washcloths, toothbrushes, some toys, things that if our children got them, they would be like, what is this? Those kids' faces, they are so joyful. It is pure, exuberant joy on their faces. Even when they are just handed the box, they haven't even opened the box yet, but they are so excited. That's a heart of gratitude.
And you know what happens through that heart of gratitude?
They come to know Jesus.
20% of the kids that get boxes come to know Jesus. So
amen.
Right, amen. So to me, that's what's interesting. We're so drowning in stuff. We don't know how to be grateful. Mm-hmm. And because we don't know how to be grateful, we don't know how to get closer to Jesus. And so that's where I was with the gratitude checklist you threw at me.
So about that gratitude checklist.
Are you saying I should be obedient and do a gratitude checklist?
I'm saying out of the abundance of the gratitude that is in your heart.
There were a lot of exaggerations, I think, in that statement.
I think it's a good place to start is with, even if it is a checklist item in your day. I believe that can lead to heart transformation.
No, actually, can I modify that?
I don't know.
I think we should do it together, because what would help me is to see genuine gratitude from you in the process versus me feeling like I think this is a lot of times what we do, even with spiritual disciplines. Okay. We feel like I need to go over here and do this thing by myself. Mm-hmm. When we're built for community. Yeah. So maybe this is something we should do together to help cultivate gratitude.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't know how to wrap this one up other than to say Thanksgiving's coming, and I do want everybody to just, number one, y'all stop complaining. We have so much to be grateful for. Like, stop comparing yourself to somebody else. Stop comparing your stuff to somebody else's, and start looking at your life. Start looking at the blessings. Thank the Lord for where you are. Thank the Lord for putting you on this earth, because he put you here for a purpose and to make a difference in others' lives. And so please, please just stop and think about all the things that you have been blessed with, whether it's who God has made you to be, who he is wanting you to become, the people that are in your life. Like, there is something in your life that you can be grateful for. Focus on that instead of what you do not have. I think that's just what I really wanted to drive home.
And I went way deeper than that.
You went way deeper than that. But y'all, we are on all things social. We are at Far More Podcast on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. And if there is something that you want us to talk about on the podcast, I promise we won't get that deep with it.
I mean, or we might if it needs to go that deep.
Or we might. Yeah. And you'll see me sweat because I get real nervous when we get super intense. farmorepodcast@gmail.com is where you can send those fun topics for us to unpack on the podcast. And until next time, cultivate a heart of gratitude.
See ya.